Hey everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a card using the December stamp of the month called Forest Critters. Okay, so this is the stamp set and it's got lots of animals that you find in the forest. So I'm going to use the little fawn and the rabbit. I'm also going to use a retired thin cut set called Fancy Borders, and then a stencil from Stencil Pack 1 and pattern paper from Four Seasons Winter. Okay, so this is a piece of linen and it's a light side of linen. I'm going to cut that at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip of white daisy, and I'm going to create kind of a little hill of snow using one of these fancy border strips. Okay, so I'm going to cut one and then make my card, and then later on I'll add a second one so that it looks like more three-dimensional snow. And then I'm going to cut a piece of the Four Seasons, and that's going to be my card base. So that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to lay this first bit of snow down at the base, and I'm going to work my stamped images around it. Okay, so first off, I'm going to stamp the rabbit, and this is in pewter. And you can pick any light gray color you like. And then I'll stamp the fawn, and that's in toffee. Get that down. And then I'm going to add some details with the gray Le Pen and just kind of color in and bring this fawn to life. And then later on off camera, I'll add a little colored pencil to both the rabbit and the fawn. And you'll see that in the close-up pictures at the end. Okay, and then we'll bring in a gel pen and add a little black to the eye of the rabbit. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to bring in my stamp and stick mat for stenciling, or stencil and stick. Anyway, it's a light tack mat, and then you can put your stencil down and it won't move. And I'm going to lay this stencil down that it has either birch or aspen trees, and I'm laying that down over my scene there, and I'm going to use linen ink. So it's tone on tone, but since I'm using the light side of linen, the ink will show up through this stencil. Okay, so I'm just gonna work the color in using a blending brush, and then I'm going to strategically place masking tape over areas like where the snow is and where the rabbit is and where the deer is, so that I don't get ink on those images. Okay, so I'm just going to work that color around, and then we can pull the stencil off, and it looks like the rabbit and the deer are in front of the trees. Okay, so then there's another part of this stencil that adds detail to the trees, and it looks like the markings on an aspen tree. So I'm going to place that down, and then I'll work in some charcoal ink in those little openings to give the trees a more lifelike look. And again, I'm going to keep moving masking tape around so that I don't get charcoal ink on the rabbit or the deer. And we'll just work it all around until the trees are finished. So I'm going to leave all the inking in for this one so you can kind of see how that all works. So just keep moving the masking tape around so you don't get ink where you don't want it. And then off camera, I cut a second piece of white daisy using the fancy borders, and then I layered that on top of the first layer of snow, so it looks three-dimensional. Okay, you'll see that in a minute. Now I'm taking this fancy borders die and I'm going to use it kind of as a stencil so that I can create sort of a three-dimensional look in the background, so that I can create kind of a hill that's further away behind the deer and the rabbit. So I'm just going to trace along this line using the gray journaling pen. So it'll look like it's off in the distance behind the deer and rabbit. Okay. Now I'm going to add some snow. Okay, so I've covered up the rabbit and the deer and the snow at the base with some masking tape, and I have some Tim Holtz Snow Flurries mica stain, and I spritz some out on a block, and I'm going to use a paintbrush to kind of splatter some of this around my background. So we've got some sparkly blue, look like it's snowing. Get a bunch of that splattered around, and then I'm going to add some white gloss spray and also splatter that around to make it look like it's snowing. Okay, now I need to stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to use the word joy from the stamp set and wishing you lots of. So I'm going to stamp out the word joy in scarlet ink on white daisy. And that first one was a little bit wonky, so I stamped it again there. And then I'm going to trim around this and create kind of a banner. So I'm just trimming up close to the image. And then I'll just get my microtip scissors and dovetail one end. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in a strip of the Four Seasons paper, and I'm going to stamp out wishing you lots of on this piece and just cut a tiny strip. Okay, so I'll trim that out. Okay, now we can start building our card. So I have a regular card base, and I'll add that piece of Four Seasons paper down with Tombow tape runner. And then we'll add the art panel with tape runner. And I'll pop the sentiment with some foam tape, and then I'll glue down the wishing you lots of. So all of these supplies are currently available in my online store. You can get the Stamp of the Month for $5 with any $50 purchase, or for free if you're a VIP with a $50 purchase. And I'll make a list with links of all the supplies in the description below. I'm adding that joy sentiment, and then I'll add the wishing you lots of right above it. And I'll have some close-up shots. So I appreciate you watching my video today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it, and then you'd be able to find all of my videos. And here are some close-up shots. So you can do lots with this stamp set with all the different critters and all the bits that are included in this set. You can create lots of different scenes. I appreciate you watching today. Thanks.